Alright guys, I'm gonna level with you. When I first heard this rumor that we were gonna get a Titanfall 3 game and it was going to be an extraction shooter of all things, I could not believe what I was seeing, because the reality is, this is not something anybody who's been asking for a Titanfall 3 game has been asking for. And rightfully so. Apparently the game got cancelled, and of course that also resulted in a lot of downsizing from EA over at Respawn Entertainment, and it's sad to see, because again, the Titanfall franchise is a franchise that desperately needed a continuation aside from the regurgitated, repetitive Apex Legends Battle Royale shooter game. So that being said, there's a lot of news lately about extraction shooters, and the one that we've been talking about a lot lately is Marathon. Yes, Marathon, the game that looks really, really bad. Even Paul Tassi at Forbes has written several articles talking about Marathon just not being up to snuff when it comes to an extraction shooter. And the saddest part is this game comes out in about 6 months. So again, it's not just the fact that the game is in alpha and they're going to have to work on it and tweak it before they can launch it. It's the fact that this game is supposed to be coming out in September, as I do believe. And you see this article here from Forbes saying, yes, Arc Raiders makes Marathon look bad. Now, what is he talking about? He's talking about this game, Arc Raiders, that was announced, I believe, back in 2021, is currently also doing a closed alpha test and is beating the pants off of Marathon, both in terms of good PR and, total viewers and players and whatnot. And we'll get to all that information in just a minute. So the article here says, yes, Arc Raiders makes Marathon look bad. And of course, the article goes on to say it's an unproven trend at this point, but the new race towards live multiplayer games appears to be the genre of extraction shooters. Now, I'm going to pause on that a second. Extraction shooters are in a very weird place, in my personal opinion. As somebody who has played a lot of extraction shooters, they're very difficult to get into unless you are hardcore, dedicated to one or two of them non-stop. It's not a casual game, and that's okay. It's okay to not have casual games, but it does limit your player pool and your audience for the game itself. And this week brought an unusual situation with two upcoming 2025 extraction games both running closed alphas and so far eliciting different reactions, and that's putting it very mildly. These two games, as you can guess, are Bungie's Marathon and Embark Studios' Arc Raiders, both entries in the extraction genre that are allegedly being released in 2025. Marathon has a date, September 23rd, but as of now, Arc does not. There's no getting around it. The reaction to the Marathon Alpha has mostly been mixed to underwhelming. The initial reaction to the Arc Raiders Alpha has visibly skewed more positive. So what's going on? Now again, just looking at the two games side by side when you actually watch gameplay of them, I have watched a lot of Arc Raiders on Twitch as far as like content creators streaming it. The atmosphere, the gunplay, the only negative I've seen from certain people talking about it is the fact that it's third person, and yes, I typically prefer first person games. But if we're going for the atmosphere and the gunplay and just the overall environment of the games, it's not even close. Arc Raiders looks 10 times better and more enjoyable than Marathon. Paul Tassi says, simply put, Arc Raiders is a much more traditional extraction shooter in the vein of Tarkov, but at least somewhat more accessible and better looking given it's a 2025 release. It's a Fallout-esque concept of scavenging a ruined wasteland populated by hostile robots and other players. At its core, you skulk around, harvest materials and weapons, and attempt to extract by going down, not up, either avoiding or killing enemies along the way, or being killed, of course. It's got all the traditional extraction-y things, custom characters, crafting, proximity chat, a home base of sorts, and it just plays much more like a traditional extraction shooter with its grounded combat. Now, I'm sure that Arc Raiders is probably going to cost some sort of premium price tag, just like Marathon announced. So again, this is not comparing apples and oranges. I'm sure that these games are exactly going to be around the same price when they launch, $40, $50 for the game. I would not doubt it for a second. But the main difference is those things that we just talked about, customizable characters, proximity chat, those things that people expect out of an extraction shooter. They don't want to play a bunch of androgynous, weird-looking, boring, pre-made characters in these hero shooter genres. Just like with Concord, this is, again, Sony now is the main company that owned both Firewalk Studios, who produced that god-awful abortion, Concord, and now we've got Sony-owned Bungie trying to do the exact same thing with Marathon, and it's not going to go over well, especially not when competition like Arc Raiders comes out, with the game looking 10 times more customizable, enjoyable, just more fun across the board. Marathon has ditched a lot of this in an attempt to be unique, but in many ways that doesn't feel like it's the case, taking out hardcore element extraction players want, while also perhaps not being all that accessible to the wider player base that they want to attract. Well, again, extraction shooters are not meant to be like a huge player base. They are definitely more of a niche, I would say. The opposite is true here. Hero characters, not custom ones, no proximity chat, no crafting, and importantly, no solos at launch, which is something Arc Raiders does have. Community conversations with Bungie are not terribly promising, saying they'll get around to things like proximity chat and solos eventually, but not for launch, as neither are an urgent priority according to them, and that's a mistake. The end result here is an odd mix of traditional extraction elements, slow-moving looting, and stamina roadblocks, but paired with often Apex-like firefights with less mobility. It often pairs uncomfortably. The Marathon Alpha feels polished and more feature-light. All the claims of it's a closed alpha don't exactly match up with the fact that Arc is also doing a closed alpha, which seems more substantive and finished and is likely to be out a good bit after Marathon, if not pushed back to 2026. But Marathon launches in 6 months. And again, that is just kind of the crux of this article, but you can go to Twitter and just look at general opinion from content creators. And like I said, the only criticism that we're seeing from this game, as you can see from Big Fry TV, is that, of course, people want games that are not made for everyone, but then they're all complaining that the game is not a first-person shooter. Again, I don't typically love third-person games. I prefer first-person shooters, third-person RPG, fantasy, combat-type games. However, this game looks like a lot of fun. I would certainly try this one out, regardless of the fact that it's a third-person shooter. Then you got Destin Lagari, however the hell you pronounce his name, saying, so I played a tad of Arc Raiders, played Delta Force a ton, even dabbled in Tarkov, and of course I've played Marathon. I'm now fully in the Marathon needs to be delayed camp. This is by far the one closest to the minimum viable product stage. Let Bungie cook. Mischief says, I'm going to say something incredibly uncontroversial. Arc Raiders should forego the beta and just launch into early access within the next month. This feels like a game that is ready for release. Kelsky says, oh my god, Arc Raiders is actually one of the most fun PvPvE games I've ever played. Shroud goes on to compare, again, Marathon with, obviously, Arc Raiders, saying, I didn't have that feeling one time in Marathon, that feeling of like, I have so much shit I cannot die right now. Again, not a good feeling if you're trying to create atmosphere in an extraction shooter and nobody feels like there's any reason that they can't just, die and come back another round. Again, the risk-reward element of an extraction shooter like Tarkov is what makes it so fun and so stressful all at the same time. It's why so many people kind of dip out on those games. It's why I haven't gone back to Tarkov in a year or two, because it just gets to be so stressful that sometimes it's not even enjoyable to play. But again, it's not just those. Let's compare numbers. Let's compare apples to apples, because like I said, these games are definitely going to be comparable, both in terms of the, I would say, target demographic, as well as the price tag, and again, both launching in 2025. Allegedly 2025, we're not sure yet. On SteamDB, Marathon opened with an all-time peak 9 days ago for their closed alpha with 6,900 people, and it has dipped down consistently day after day after day with less and less people. Even though they're sending out new alpha keys every single day, there's new batches going out every day or two. Less and less people seem interested in playing this game. Compare that to Arc Raiders, which came out, a couple days ago? Reached an all-time peak 8 hours ago. Closed alpha, almost 17,000 people. It gets better. If you go to Twitch and look at the Marathon viewership right now, a whopping 1.8 thousand people watching people playing Marathon, compared to Arc Raiders at 68.6 thousand viewers. Guys, it's not even close. I don't think it is that big of a stretch to say that not only is Marathon doomed because of the decisions that they've made for their own game, but I think personally that Arc Raiders is going to destroy Marathon single-handedly if they come out anytime near each other, because again, who's going to spend $40 or $50 on Marathon when you see a substantially better game on the horizon that's in the same vein, same genre as Marathon in Arc Raiders, but it's going to be infinitely better, give players what they want, it's going to give them the proximity chat, it's going to give them that atmosphere that they're looking for, and overall a better bang for their buck, a better gameplay experience. So I'm going to leave it right there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this down in the comments down below. If you're new here, hit like and subscribe. I haven't been putting out many videos lately, I've been very busy, but I appreciate you guys for all being here, and I will catch you on the next one. Alright, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have 2 channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.